What is up, everybody? Hey, welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live. With me, your host and international award winning Make Every Second Count speaker. Yes, I'm so pumped up every time I get to say that. It's something to come from a place where you aren't really expected to do anything again and then be able to say that you are an international award-winning speaker. That's really cool to me. But I don't know. So I thank you guys so much for joining tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you can take some nuggets away from the show. And I ask you, if you would please share this episode out. Invite as many people as you can to watch this show because I know tonight is going to be powerful for somebody out there. Not saying it's going to be you, but you never know who it is going to be. So I also ask you to keep the thumbs up, the hearts, the brownie faces, the cry faces, wah, and you can even get mad at us. I don't care. Just help us trick the algorithm on any of the socials that we're on. And I also ask you to please keep the comments coming. It's um it, it's so much better to have a conversation than just make a presentation. Hey Ben Bruce, hope you're having a good night tonight. He says hello everyone. So if you're here in the comments, leave a comment saying hello Ben. And it and so I am not sure why, but my guest has not shown up. I spoke to him not too long ago, but he just hasn't come yet. So I don't know. That's strange. But no biggie. I'll just handle it myself. Not a problem. So guys, this past month has been a trip for me. I went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I spoke in a town not far north of Pittsburgh, also known as Butler, Pennsylvania. I spoke for a company's training that they have to do every year. It's called an in-service training, and it's because this company is called Life Steps. Just like it sounds, Life Steps. And it's kind of like the Goodwill Easter Seals. If you know what they do, and if not, they do a lot of early childhood testing for children and making sure they're not sick in any way. They do a lot of vaccines. They do a lot of good work in the neighborhood. They have community living, so they take care of people that can't take care of themselves. They do all kinds of stuff, like really good work. So Ben Bruce is actually asking me what the company is all about. So hang on, Ben Bruce. I will look it up and I will try and show you. No, don't. Why is it always asking me stupid things? So, all right. Here's Life Steps. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Hey, Yana. I'm glad you're here tonight. So give me just a minute. I'll figure this out. And I will let's see. So go to life steps. Let's see. All right. So this is Life Steps. They are a freaking an amazing company. I'll show you a little bit of the services. See, they have children's services like childcare, preschool, early Head Start, pre-kindergarten, summer discovery, pre-K, language and hearing. They do behavioral support, and then they have families programs, all this stuff in here. They do adults with disabilities, so adults with different abilities, if you're familiar with my little spiel about that. So they do all kinds of stuff, senior services, assistive technology, and then it's an amazing company, and they're in Butler, Pennsylvania, and let's see. From our beginning in 1923 as part of the National Society of Crippled Children to our independent status of Life Steps today, we have been helping individuals and families with life's changing needs to better lead lives. Today, the agency helps thousands of individuals annually and provides outreach to tens of thousands of area families. Life Steps staff creates a culture that works to foster independence and provide exceptional care for support to all they serve. So, I will stop the screen sharing now. I will go back to this. But hey, Robert, it's good to see you tonight. I'm glad you're here. But so my main thing of the talk was, hey Adam, good to see you. But my main part of my talk was about self-care and the things that are so important to do, because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to help anyone else. Hey, Ben Bruce, it's fine. Something probably came up, or he forgot, he had the wrong time. I don't know, but it's all right. Don't fret it. No, Ben Bruce, no. So, but anyways, Ben Bruce is driving me nuts. He's livid, he says. He's livid. So, I did a presentation there at Life Steps, and the whole thing was self-care and how you can take care of yourself. But I first did my 5 key points with them, and I will go over those with you again so you know what they are. So, before my accident, I had all kinds of abilities that I took for granted. I played every sport imaginable. I even did things that I wasn't good at just so I was out there doing things. But those aren't the kind of abilities I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the abilities that we all have. Abilities like turning your head from side to side. Abilities for sight, the ability of hearing, the ability of smell. And those are amazing abilities. You know, I was in a classroom last week full of sixth graders. It was actually the sixth grade life skills class. And I go into each class 2 days. And on the first day, I go over these 5 points with them. And then on the second day, we do a gratitude exercise together. And I will explain that a little more later. But first of all, I want to go over the points with you again because these are so important. So, I said before my accident, I had all kinds of abilities that I took for granted. That's the first one. And remember, we talked about the sight, smell, taste, your hair grows. I mean, those are some things that you should really be thankful for. And when you were thankful for everything, only happiness and joy can grow out of that. So if you are missing out on being happy and joyful, then you need to adopt some of these principles, or all if you're really taking it seriously. So, number 2 was I always wanted all kinds of things. And I'm not telling you it's not good to strive for more. I'm not telling you that it's not good to want more, because it is. It's always good to always want more. And I'm just telling you that you need to be thankful of what you have. It's so important, because if you look at what you have, you'll be able to see more things out there that you have, because it's like a big snowball. Once you're thankful for something, you will see more things you're thankful for. Once you practice gratitude, you will experience gratitude more and more every day. So I want you guys to be thankful of everything in life. It's so important that you do this. So I want you guys to remember to be thankful of what you already have. It's so important that you do that. So, if you guys in the comments would stop worrying about the guest that didn't show up and move on, because I would appreciate that. And it would be pretty awesome if you were actually talking about the show. So, number 3 is life is a gift, a precious, precious gift that can never be taken for granted. All right, so this is so important because life is a gift and it can end in the blink of an eye. That crash that you see my car right there did not take more than a few seconds or even 1 second for that semi to hit me. For me to be in the hospital for 3.5 months, in a coma for 2.5 months. And if I had known previously that I wasn't invincible, because let's face it, when we're 17 years old, we feel invincible. Nothing is going to stop us. We're just living our lives one day at a time at that point. We're not really thinking too much about the future. But that is something that we need to do, because I'll tell you a little story of a friend of mine that was actually in the passenger seat of that car that you see on screen. He was in the passenger seat when I was hit by the semi. And while I was extremely messed up, he was barely messed up. You see, he had a broken finger, which they didn't even realize till later on that night. Crazy, I know, but it's the truth. It really happened that way. And I just want to say that no, I'm not mad it happened that way. Actually, I'm glad it happened that way. But a few years after my wreck, when I was hurt really bad and he wasn't hurt bad at all, he was in another wreck. Again, as a passenger. And this time, he didn't make it. And the driver walked away. You see, life has a way of taking the good ones young. Well, I shouldn't say that because I didn't die young, but it has a way of taking certain people young. I'll say that. So I want to tell you that this guy was really, really, really smart. He was a valedictorian of my high school and my vocational school, and then he was actually on scholarship at Case Western Reserve in Cleveland, Ohio. He was studying biomedical engineering, working on things like artificial lungs and artificial skin. So, burn victims and victims that are having like organ failure could live. And that is that is really cool. I'm really proud of him for that. But he was going to change the world. The world was going to be a different place when he got out of school and started actually working. But we never got to see that day because he didn't make it far enough to see that day. And as much as I don't like telling that story, I think it is something that people need to hear because it has a way to pull on your heartstrings, I guess. So I don't know. I don't like telling that story. So feel lucky I told you tonight. So I want you to remember that life is a precious, precious gift that should never be taken for granted. And then number 4 is never, ever, ever, ever give up on yourself. So I'll tell you another little story. So I was talking a little bit about my car accident, but when I was 17, I was involved in that car accident. I spent 2.5 months in a coma and 3.5 in the hospital. I was told I may never walk, talk, eat, drink, or anything ever again. But I do now. Now, let me tell you that it was a long process. All right, I'll let you in on another big part of it. So, when I was going through therapy, which I still do today, like over 23 and a half years later, and I got to riding in a wheelchair with other people pushing me because I couldn't use my arms. They were stuck up like this. Oh, you can't see me. Hang on. They were stuck up like this. So I couldn't use my arms to push my wheelchair. So they told me, though, that I could quit this therapy thing anytime. People live every day riding in a wheelchair and they're happy. I said, yeah, you're right. They probably are happy. But me, I'm not. So I kept pushing. I kept struggling. I kept going to therapy. And after a while longer, I was able to walk with a walker. And they were like, this is probably the best you can expect, Jeff. We really didn't even expect this for you. You can go ahead and quit this therapy thing at all time. At any time. Sorry, I was trying to read a comment here. And I mixed up my words. But they told me, you can go ahead and quit this therapy thing now. People live every day walking with a walker and they're happy. I said, yeah, I could. They might be. But me, I'm not. So I got back to going to therapy, struggling, fighting with things to get better. And eventually I got to the point where I was walking with a cane. This is where I actually graduated high school. And I was so proud of myself. Everybody else was proud of me too. I have to say, it was pretty awesome. But again, they told me, Jeff, this is amazing. We didn't even think you would make it this far. And look at you now. You can go ahead and give up therapy now. People live every day walking with a cane and they're happy. I said, yeah, they might be, but me, I'm not. So I went back to therapy. I went back to fighting. I went back to struggling. And eventually, after a lot of work, I started walking unassisted, just like everybody out there. And they told me, wow, Jeff, you're finally walking on your own. Can you believe it? I said, no, not really. But I had already seen that in my head. I had already seen what was possible for me. And while other people didn't believe it would happen, I always held on to that faith. I always knew that there was more out there for me. And I said, you're right. I could quit therapy now. I could say I've done it. I'm walking on my own. Because I know people out there walk every day and they're happy. But I thought for a minute and said, no. They might be happy, but I'm not. You see, I am going to run. Nobody out there can stop me from running except for me. And it's true in your life. People might tell you that you can't expect anything more. You can't expect better. You shouldn't expect better. They can tell you that it didn't work for them. So why try it? Why are you going to try it? Because they tried it and they failed. The thing is, you are the only person that can truly hold you back in life. Nobody else. The way you start in life might not be the best. I understand that. But you don't have to let that affect you in the future. You can move on from that. Granted, I'm not saying I know exactly how, because I don't know exactly what you're going through, but it is possible. And you have to hold on to that faith that it is possible, that you are going to accomplish more. So I want you to remember that and never give up on yourself, because there's so much out there ahead of you that is going to be happening. So number 5 was or is, I learned that I could make every second count. And if I can, this boy that spent 3.5 months in the hospital, 2.5 in a coma, was told that he might never walk again. If I can make every second count, then there's good news. Because each and every one of you can as well. And how are you going to make them all count? Well, pretty easy. If you follow these 4 lessons. So remember, don't take abilities for granted. Be thankful for what you already have, because once you see that, you'll be thankful for more things. Realize that life is a gift and it should be celebrated instead of just lived. Never give up on yourself. If you do those 4 things, then you will make every second count. And you have to remember something. You have to take care of yourself. I understand that might be hard. Parents, I hear you guys say all the time that I don't have time to take care of myself because I have kids. The thing is this: if you don't take care of yourself, who's going to take care of those kids when you're gone? And I know that is pretty negative, but it's true. Who is going to take care of those kids when you're gone? Because if you don't take care of yourself, that's where you're headed. No, none of us out there are going to make it out of this life alive. None. And I just want you guys to realize that before it's too late. I realized that because of a severe car accident, and I don't want you guys to have to go through what I've gone through over these near 24 years just to learn the same thing I did. I want you to listen to what I say and actually put that into practice, because you can do it. I promise you that. So I want to say thank you, because you guys are a reason that I show up for this show every week. A reason that I still do this show even after 8 years of doing this show, even after guests not showing up, which is frustrating at times. But that's the reason I keep doing it. So I want to tell you thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. But I need you guys out there to do me a favor this week, next week, and for the rest of your life. I need you to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when those seconds are going to run out on your one life. I'll see you guys back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And until then, have a fantastic week. Thanks, guys.